The joke begins. The galaxy was full of noise, ships flying, traders shouting, empires rising and falling. But through all of it, there was one common thing. Everyone laughed at humans. To most alien species, humans were a joke. They were small, fragile, weak in strength, and slow in technology. Their home planet was not impressive. Their weapons were outdated. Their biology was nothing special. They were easy to capture, easy to study, and easy to mock. For years, the higher races treated them like children who had wandered into the affairs of adults. And when the idea of breeding experiments began, it was not science. It was comedy. Breed with a human? The Council of the Virex Empire had laughed. Why not? Let us see how ridiculous the results will be. Let us prove once again that humans are the lowest species. And so it began. One of those chosen was a young alien woman named Lysera. She was proud, beautiful, and a daughter of a noble Virex house. When her name was announced for the program, she did not protest. She laughed with the others. To her, this was not a punishment. It was entertainment. Humans are toys, her sister told her before she left. Make sure you enjoy the game. Lysera promised she would. The laboratory was not like the palaces of her home. Cold metal walls, endless corridors, lights that hummed like insects, but did not bother her. She was excited, curious, amused. And then she saw him, a human. He was not in chains. He was standing, his arms at his side, his posture calm, his eyes watching. He was taller than she expected, his shoulders strong, his face quiet. She had seen images of humans before, but this was different. This one was real. She tilted her head, smiling. So, this is the great human? The one they sent to me. The guard behind her laughed. She joined them. She expected him to bow, or look away, or beg for freedom. But he did not. His eyes stayed on hers. Steady, unshaken, and something inside her shifted. It was small, only a spark, but she felt it. A strange unease, like the air before a storm. She pushed it away. You are here because of me, she said, her voice sharp, proud. You are part of our experiment. Our little joke. Do you understand? He nodded once, slow. His lips curved, but not into a smile. Yes, he said softly. His voice was deep, controlled. I understand very well. The words were simple, yet they carried weight. Lysera frowned. She tried again. Then you know you are nothing here. You are just a piece of entertainment. Do not forget it. This time he smiled. Not with joy, but with something colder. Something older. Entertainment, he repeated. Funny. Very funny. Her skin prickled. The guard shifted, confused. They expected fear, not confidence. They expected trembling, not calm silence. Lysera forced a laugh. You speak like you have a choice. The human's eyes flashed. Everyone has a choice, he said. For the first time, she did not laugh. The silence stretched. The air felt heavier, pressing against her chest. She looked away, only for a moment, then quickly returned her gaze to him. She would not show weakness. But inside, something whispered. This is not a joke. She straightened her back, masking her unease. Take him to his quarters, she ordered. The guards obeyed, leading the human away. He walked without resistance, without fear, like a man walking towards something he already knew. As the door closed behind him, Lysera pressed her hand against her chest. Her heart was beating faster than it should. She did not like it. Strange creature, she muttered. But the thought did not leave her. His eyes, his voice, the calm weight of his presence. These were not the marks of weakness. These were not the marks of prey. The joke was simple. Humans were the punchline. They were the comedy of the galaxy. And she had been chosen to laugh at them, to mock them, to prove once again how pathetic they were. But as she stood alone in the cold lab, the echo of his words returned. Everyone has a choice. For the first time, Lysera wondered if the joke was not on him, but on her. The unease grew, and somewhere deep inside, though she would never admit it, she felt afraid. Very afraid. Curiosity turns to fear. Lysera told herself she was not afraid. She was a daughter of the Virex, born into power, trained in pride. Fear was for lesser species. Fear was for humans. And yet, when she closed her eyes that night, she saw his face. His eyes. They were not the eyes of prey. not the eyes of something to be laughed at. They were sharp, alive, like a blade hidden beneath calm water. She hated the way they made her feel. The next morning, she entered the observation chamber. The human was already there, sitting on the edge of the bed in his assigned quarters. He did not stand, but he was not slouched either. His back was straight, his gaze steady. He looked at her as if he had been waiting. "You wake early," Lysera said, her tone casual, as if she were speaking to a servant. "I do not sleep much," he replied. His voice was quiet but strong. She raised a brow. "Humans need more sleep than Virex. Your body is weak. It must rest." "Maybe," he said. "Or maybe you simply think we are weak because it makes you feel strong." The words cut deeper than she expected. Her jaw tightened. "Watch your tongue, human." His lips curved into that same strange, almost smile. "Why? Are you afraid of what I might say?" The guards outside shifted uneasily, glancing at each other. Lysera ignored them, stepping closer. "I fear nothing," she said. "Especially not you." "Good," he whispered, his eyes never leaving hers. "Because fear comes later." Her throat tightened, though she did not know why. She wanted to snap at him, to silence him, but something stopped her. Instead, she turned away, inspecting the room. Cold walls, metal bed, a single light above. It was not meant for comfort. It was meant for control. Yet he did not look controlled. She forced herself to speak. "You are here because of me. My people chose you for this program. You will do as I say." "Chosen," he repeated. "Interesting word. Do you know what it means for me?" She frowned. "It means you are lucky. You were taken for something greater than your miserable planet." He shook his head slowly. "No, it means you are the one trapped with me." Her chest tightened again. She laughed, but the sound was thinner than she wanted. "Trapped? You are locked in these walls, guarded at every corner. You are a prisoner." He leaned forward, his eyes catching the light. "And yet, why do you feel like the prisoner?" Lysera's breath caught. For a moment, she had no answer. The silence stretched until the guards stirred nervously. She turned sharply and walked toward the door. Her steps were fast, too fast, but she could not help it. The door slid shut behind her, and only then did she breathe. She hated this. She hated him. But most of all, she hated the feeling he left inside her. That night, she reviewed the files on humans. She read about their wars, their struggles, their survival against endless odds. They were weak, yes, but they were also stubborn. They refused to die, even when stronger species wanted them gone. Again and again, history showed the same thing. Humans fought, humans endured, humans survived. And now one sat in her chamber, staring at her as if he knew something she did not. The unease grew sharper. The next day, she went back. She told herself it was for control, to prove she was not shaken. But in truth, she went because she needed answers. The human was standing this time, his hands behind his back, his posture military. He did not speak first. He waited. She stepped close, her chin lifted. "What is your name?" He studied her for a long moment, then answered. "Kai." "Kai," she repeated, tasting the word. "Strange. Weak. Perhaps," he said. "But sometimes the weakest word carries the sharpest truth." She narrowed her eyes. "You speak too much for someone who has no power." He tilted his head. "And you listen too closely for someone who claims not to care." Her blood heated, though she could not tell if it was anger or something else. She wanted to strike him, to show him his place, but she could not. His calmness was like a wall. Every insult she threw slid off without effect. The more she tried to treat him like a joke, the more she felt like the joke herself. When she left the chamber again, her thoughts were louder than before. His voice echoed inside her head. His eyes followed her even in her dreams. And for the first time in her life, Lysera understood what it meant to feel powerless. The alien woman who was born to laugh at humans was beginning to wonder if the galaxy had laughed too soon. Because deep inside, she felt it growing, curiosity, doubt, and a fear she could no longer deny. The human was not the victim of the joke. The joke was on her. The first signs of power. The labs of the Virex Empire were not silent places. Machines hummed, guards marched, scientists whispered behind glass walls. But lately, There had been disturbances, small, unexplainable things. A system that worked yesterday would suddenly shut down. Doors that were locked would open without warning. Surveillance feeds would flicker to static. The supervisors blamed faulty wires. The engineers blamed cheap circuits. But Lysera began to wonder if the fault was something else. Something closer. Something human. She returned to Kai's chamber after another report of failing systems. He was seated again, calm, his hands folded loosely in his lap. He looked up when she entered, and for the first time, she noticed something unusual. His skin. It looked different than before, faintly sharper, almost as if his muscles beneath had hardened overnight. His eyes seemed brighter too, clearer, like glass polished by fire. "You," she said slowly. "You look changed." Kai tilted his head. "Doi." "Yes," she insisted. "Humans do not change this fast. Maybe you do not know humans as well as you think." His voice was quiet, but each word struck her like a stone. She studied him closer, trying to hide her unease. "The systems in this facility are failing," she said. "What do you know of it?" His lips curved. "Machines break. Guards grow careless. Maybe the universe is laughing at you this time." Lysera's throat tightened. "Do not mock me." "I don't mock," he replied. "I warn." Her pulse quickened. The guards outside shifted, but she raised a hand to silence them. She needed to hear more. "Warn me of what?" she asked. Kai leaned forward. His gaze locked onto hers, unblinking. "Your people built this place as a cage. But cages are not permanent. One day, the doors will open. And when they do, you will see what humans really are." A chill ran through her. She forced herself to laugh, though it sounded thin. "And what are humans, Kai? Clowns? Pets? Experiments?" His expression hardened. "Survivors." The word cut into her. Simple, sharp, undeniable. Before she could respond, an alarm blared through the halls. The lights flickered, and a mechanical voice shouted warnings. "Containment breach. Sector well compromised." All units respond. The guards outside bolted, leaving her alone with him. She hesitated, unsure if she should follow, then turned sharply toward him. "What did you do?" Kai remained still, his face unreadable. "I sat here, waiting for you." "Lies," she hissed. "You caused this." "Did I?" His voice was calm, but his eyes shone with something dangerous. Or maybe this is what happens when you play with fire and call it a joke. The alarms faded as the system stabilized, but the silence that followed was heavier than before. Lysera backed away a step, her breathing uneven. She wanted to call for the guards. She wanted to shout orders. But something in Kai's gaze stopped her, because deep down, she already knew the truth. This was no accident. Something was happening to him. Something the Virex had not planned for. Later, in the council chambers, Lysera listened as the scientists argued. Some said the humans were adapting too quickly. Others claimed it was impossible. The Empire's leaders dismissed it as fear. "They are nothing," one said. "Their bodies break. Their spirits bend. They cannot resist us." But Lysera said nothing. She remembered Kai's eyes, the strength in his voice, the faint new sharpness in his skin. She remembered the word he had given her. Survivors. That night, she dreamed. She saw humans not as prisoners, but as flames, small at first, but growing, spreading, unstoppable. The laughter of her people turned to screams. And in the center of it stood Kai, watching her with those bright, unshaken eyes. When she woke, her hands were trembling. The next day, she returned to him again, against her own reason. She found him standing this time, his posture strong, his presence even stronger. "You look different again," she whispered. Kai's voice was steady. "That is what happens when you put pressure on life. It grows sharper, stronger, harder to kill." Her mouth went dry. She wanted to argue, but the words would not come, because she knew he was right. He was changing, and soon, so would everything else. For the first time, Lysera understood why she could not stop thinking of him. It was not fascination. It was not curiosity. It was fear. The first signs of power had appeared. And if the Virex laughed at humans before, they would not be laughing much longer. The turning point. The Virex Empire believed control was permanent. Their chains were unbreakable, their walls unshakable, their power absolute. For years, they had treated humans like animals, like shadows at the edge of the galaxy. But shadows can move. Shadows can grow. And in the cold halls of the breeding labs, the shadows began to stir. Lysera stood in the command chamber, watching the screens. Humans were supposed to sit quietly in their cells, heads bowed, eyes empty. But now, one by one, the screen showed something different. Men and women standing tall, faces sharp with focus, voices rising in defiance. Guards shouted orders, weapons raised. But instead of cowering, the humans stepped forward. "Contain them," barked a commander. "They're nothing, just flesh." Yet the flesh did not fall. A guard struck one human across the head with a shock bat. He should have collapsed. Instead, he grabbed the weapon with his bare hands, sparks dancing across his skin, and wrenched it away. The room went silent. On another screen, a group of humans worked together, pulling at the frame of their cell. Metal groaned. Bolts snapped. Within moments, the door ripped free. Lysera's stomach tightened. It was beginning. She left the chamber, her steps fast, her heart racing. She needed to see him. She needed to see Kai. When she entered his room, he was not surprised. He stood waiting, his posture calm, as if he had known she would come. "You feel it, don't you?" he said. She stopped, her voice low. "What have you done?" "Nothing more than survive," he answered. "And survival spreads." Her chest ached. "This is not possible. You cannot fight the Virex. You are too few, too weak." Kai stepped closer, his eyes burning with quiet fire. "Weakness is only what you believe it to be. But you never asked what humans believe." "And what is that?" she whispered. "That we don't stop." The words echoed in her mind. They felt dangerous, like sparks near dry leaves. The door behind her slammed open. A guard entered, panic in his voice. "Lady Lysera, we are losing control. The humans." He never finished. The lights flickered, and from the hallway came the sound of shouting, of boots on steel, of weapons firing. Lysera's blood went cold. Kai did not move. He simply watched her, his voice steady even as chaos spread outside. "Now you see, the joke is not on us. It was never on us." Her throat tightened. "Ew, this was your plan all along." His gaze sharpened. "Not a plan, a truth. You thought you put us in cages. But cages do not break us. They teach us. They make us stronger." Her hand shook at her side. She wanted to call for more guards, to order his execution. But deep down, she knew it was already too late. The humans were rising, and she was standing at the edge of something far bigger than herself. The guard pulled her back toward the door. "We must evacuate, my lady. The humans are spreading through the lower levels." Lysera glanced at Kai one last time. His eyes locked on hers, calm, unafraid, certain. "You can run," he said softly, "but you cannot escape what comes next." Her breath caught, and for the first time, she had no reply. As the door closed between them, the sounds of chaos grew louder, alarms blaring, metal crashing, voices screaming. The Empire's joke had twisted into something else. Lysera's people had thought humans were prey, but now the prey had teeth. And she, caught between loyalty to her kind and the strange pull of the human leader, realized something terrifying. She was no longer laughing. She was standing in the middle of the turning point, where jokes end and consequences begin. Betrayal and revelation. Lysera could still hear the echoes of chaos in the corridors. The humans had not only resisted, they had struck, tearing through doors, disabling guards, and spreading like wildfire through the breeding labs. She ran through the control hall, her mind spinning. Every step she took, the reality became clearer. The humans were no ordinary captives. Kai's words haunted her. "Cages do not break us. They make us stronger." She reached the central observation deck, overlooking the labs. There, what she saw stopped her in her tracks. The humans were gathered in a massive chamber. Their bodies moved in unison, almost as if guided by a single mind. Sparks of energy flickered from their hands. Their eyes glowed faintly, and the very air around them seemed to pulse with life. Lysera's heart skipped. She had seen humans before, weak, fragile, controlled. But this was evolution. Something no Virex had ever anticipated. A voice came over the intercom. It was Commander Threx, the highest-ranking overseer in the labs. Lady Lysera, you must leave. The humans are. He did not finish. The chamber behind him exploded in light, the walls groaning, bending. The humans surged forward, breaking barriers that should have been unbreakable. Lysera's stomach twisted. What are they?" she whispered. Kai appeared beside her, silent as a shadow. "What you call humans, they're the real experiment," he said softly. She turned to him, eyes wide. "The experiment? I don't understand." "Geish geish met Hirsch, steady, come, uncheckable." The Virex thought they were breeding humans for their amusement. But the humans they were learning, they were adapting faster than any machine, any simulation, any program. You never saw it because you never looked closely enough. Lysera shook her head. No, it was all a joke. The council, they only wanted control. Stiped glosser. That was the illusion. The joke was a cover for what they truly feared. Humans evolve when pushed to the edge. That is what you never understood. Her mind raced. The rebellion, the strange powers, the coordination, it all made sense now. The humans were not just fighting. They were becoming something far beyond Virex's comprehension. And then came the betrayal. From the shadows, a Virex soldier lunged, weapon raised, aimed directly at Kai. Lysera's instinct screamed. She pushed him aside, but Kai's hand caught the shot before it could fire. A faint flash, and the weapon melted into a puddle of metal. Lysera staggered back. "Impossible," she gasped. Kai's eyes never left hers. "Nothing is impossible for those who survive," he said quietly. The Virex soldier fell to the ground, gasping, shaking. Around them, the humans continued their surge, each movement precise, intelligent, unstoppable. Lysera felt a shiver run down her spine. The realization hit her like a hammer. The humans were no longer under anyone's control. Not the Virex. Not her. Not even Kai. And yet, they were his. She looked at him, questions racing. "You knew all this all along." Kai nodded. "I saw the potential from the first day." The council thought they were the hunters. But in truth, they were the prey. Her stomach churned. Everything she had believed, the joke, the breeding program, the Virex superiority, was a lie. The humans had always been the key. "They are unstoppable," she whispered. "Yes," Kai said. "And the moment you see it, you must choose. Will you stand with them or against them?" Lysera's mind screamed. Her loyalty to her people, her fear of change, her instinct to survive, all collided inside her. She wanted to run, to hide, to fight. But as she watched the humans, glowing, unified, and alive in a way she had never imagined, she understood the truth. The humans were not victims. They were the punchline. But the joke had turned, and Lysera was standing at the center of it. The first humans stepped forward, their eyes meeting hers, unafraid, unyielding. The air hummed with energy. It was not anger, not malice. It was life, pure and unstoppable. Lysera swallowed hard. The betrayal she had feared was not Kai's. It was the council's. The revelation she had dreaded was not the human's power. It was her own choice. To survive, she had to decide where she belonged. And the moment of decision had come. The humans advanced, a wave of light and energy. The Empire trembled around her. And in the center of it all, Kai looked at her, calm, knowing, waiting. "Choose," he said. Lysera's heart pounded. The turning point had passed. Now came the reckoning. The reckoning. The halls of the Virex Empire shook with the force of the humans' uprising. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and the very air hummed with an energy that defied explanation. Lysera ran through the corridors, her chest tight, every step echoing the pounding of her heart. Kai followed silently, his eyes never leaving her. He had grown from a guide to a leader, and now, in the midst of chaos, he was the anchor she didn't know she needed. Ahead, the humans had gathered in the central atrium, a massive chamber designed to display the Empire's power. Pillars of light rose from the floor, reflecting off the walls. Hundreds of humans stood together, unified, glowing faintly, their eyes burning with determination. Lysera stopped at the entrance, her breath catching. The truth was undeniable. They were not just rebels. They were something new, something terrifying in its beauty and precision. "They are ready," Kai said softly, his voice calm but heavy with certainty. "And we must decide. Do you stand with them or against them?" Lysera's mind raced. Everything she had believed, every command she had followed, every loyalty she had held, was crumbling. The Council had lied. The Virex had never been in control. The humans, her supposed captives, were the masters of their fate. The first wave of humans advanced, not with weapons, but with power. Energy flowed from their hands, shaping the air itself. Doors bent, walls cracked, and machines faltered as if the very laws of physics obeyed their will. Lysera's stomach tightened. Fear clawed at her, but beneath it, a strange awe began to grow. These humans were magnificent, fierce, alive in a way the Virex could never understand. A Virex commander appeared, his face pale, weapon raised. "Protect the lady." "Stop them," he shouted. But the humans did not fight to kill, they fought to reclaim. One by one, they approached the soldiers. Energy radiated from their bodies, and the weapons melted before they could be fired. Soldiers screamed, not from pain, but from the shock of witnessing power they could not comprehend. Lysera felt the weight of choice pressing down on her. She could run, hide, claim loyalty to the Virex Empire, but every instinct in her body told her this was the end of the old world. The humans, Kai, with a future. She stepped forward. Her hand shook, her voice barely audible. "I stand with you." Kai's eyes widened, and a faint smile appeared. "Then let the reckoning begin." With a gesture, Kai signaled the humans. Energy surged through the atrium like a living storm. Walls crumbled, glass shattered, and the entire chamber seemed to pulse with life. The humans moved as one, but each retained their individuality, their power amplified by unity, yet guided by choice. The Virex leaders scrambled, trying to maintain order, try to strike back. But their efforts were meaningless. Every trap, every weapon, every plan crumbled under the humans' relentless advance. Lysera moved through the chaos beside Kai. For the first time, she saw the humans' eyes, not just glowing with energy, but with intelligence, empathy, and resolve. They were not monsters. They were evolution in motion. From above, the council observed, pale and trembling. Their arrogance had blinded them to the truth. Humans were no longer the subjects of a joke. They were the authors of their own destiny. Kai's voice rang in Lysera's mind, calm, unwavering. "The joke is over. The punchline is life itself." Lysera nodded. She felt the rush of fear, hope, and exhilaration all at once. The humans surged forward, energy and courage uniting in a force no one could stop. The Empire's control shattered, falling like dust in a storm. And in that moment, Lysera understood something she had never known. Power was not control. Power was choice. The humans had chosen life. And by standing with them, she had chosen too. The Virex soldiers surrendered, the commanders fled, and the halls, once cold and sterile, now thrummed with the pulse of something far greater. Lysera turned to Kai. "Is this the end?" she asked. He shook his head. "It is a beginning. The Empire as you knew it is gone. The humans, they decide now. And you, Lysera, have a place in what comes next." She looked at the humans, their faces lit with determination, their power undeniable. And she smiled, a smile of awe, of fear, and of hope. The reckoning had come. The old order had fallen. And in its place, something unimaginable, something beautiful, had begun. The humans had risen, and the universe would never be the same. A new dawn. The sun rose over the remnants of the Virex Empire, its light cutting through the broken walls and shattered towers. The halls, once cold and silent, now thrummed with life, human life. Energy shimmered in the air, pulsing like the heartbeat of a new world. Lysera walked through the central plaza, her steps echoing on the cracked stone. Beside her, Kai moved silently, watching the humans rebuild, reclaiming not just territory, but identity. The air smelled of earth and electricity, of smoke and renewal. The humans were no longer captives. They were rulers of their destiny. Children laughed as they ran between energy fields that once served as cages. Scientists and engineers, both human and Virex who chose to stay, worked together, creating tools that blended alien technology with human ingenuity. Lysera's gaze fell on Kai. He stood on a balcony, observing the plaza, eyes calm but alive with thought. She approached him, her steps tentative. "It's beautiful," she said softly. Kai's lips curved slightly. "It's only the beginning." Lysera nodded. "I never imagined they could change everything. Even me." Kai turned to her, his eyes steady, piercing. "You were never the enemy, Lysera. You just needed to see. And now you understand." Lysera felt the weight of those words. She had been part of the system, part of the joke. But now, she was part of the story. A story that humans wrote with courage, not control. The plaza trembled suddenly, a soft vibration, barely noticeable at first. Lysera's eyes widened. The humans paused, sensing it too. Energy in the air thickened, glowing brighter, forming patterns that twisted and danced above them. Kai's eyes followed the light. "They're evolving faster than we thought," he murmured. From the center of the plaza, a young human girl stepped forward. Her eyes glowed faintly, her hands raised. Light radiated outward, not destructive, but transformative. Flowers bloomed from the cracked stone, trees sprouted from rubble, and water shimmered in thin streams that flowed where none had been. Lysera gasped. "This is what they've become." Kai smiled, a quiet, almost tender smile. "Not just power. Life itself bends to their will. The humans are not just survivors, they are creators." Around them, the humans gathered. They did not speak, yet their unity was clear. Every movement, every pulse of energy worked together to heal the city. They reshaped buildings, revived ecosystems, and even repaired damaged alien technology. Lysera realized the truth. The humans had transcended. The Virex Empire was gone, not through violence, but through evolution. And she, who had once served the Empire, now stood at the dawn of a new age. Kai stepped closer. "The universe will notice," he said. "Other civilizations, other species, they will see humans not as weak, not as a joke, but as a force beyond imagination. And we will guide them together." Lysera looked out over the plaza at humans of all ages and sizes, glowing with potential. She felt a surge of hope, courage, and purpose. This was not just survival. This was life rewritten. From the edge of the city, a small group of Virex watched silently. Their expressions were unreadable, some fearful, some awestruck. They had lost their empire, but they would not forget the humans' power. And somewhere in the shadows, the first seeds of respect or fear were planted. Lysera turned to Kai. "What do we do now?" Kai's eyes sparkled. "We live, we learn, and we let them lead. The humans have become the story, Lysera, and the universe will follow." As the sun climbed higher, bathing the city in golden light, humans moved like one organism, shaping a future that had once seemed impossible. The old world had fallen. A new dawn had risen, bright, unstoppable, and breathtaking. Lysera smiled, feeling the weight of the past slip away. She had been part of the joke, part of the reckoning, and now she was part of the miracle. The humans were no longer the punchline. They were the authors of a universe reborn. And in that light, Lysera understood something that would stay with her forever. Life, when given freedom, could not be contained. And for the first time in centuries, the universe was alive with hope.